Okay, good morning to everybody who is on this call. Nice little small group. As always, getting housekeeping out of the way. So far, this is probably album of the year. Just came out about a week and a half ago. Pretty great. So if you're looking for some nice new tunes, check out Jim James. Um, let's see. We're gonna talk about video mainly today. We had talked in the past few sessions about some video stuff and how there was some importance, obviously lots of importance in that, and we touched on it so frequently over the first three that we decided to just add a fourth that mainly focuses on video. So we are going to talk about a couple little things first because I was going to pull all this video info from a presentation I gave for Innovation Exchange, which is kind of a marketing roadshow we do. And when I was going over it earlier, I realized there's a good part on your social footprint. So I'm actually going to go over that part too, just because it's part of this presentation and it fits in well. So we're going to go over, social footprint and what was the third one? Social footprint and video stuff. As always, questions, concerns at any point, pop them in and let me know. For some reason, Corinne, I think the info you gave out had like your name attached to it because I have 3 Corinne Kings on the call right now, which might explain why I didn't know Jeanette was on the call. So hello, Corinne. So the first thing we're going to go over is a pretty simple thing. This, across, talk about Michigan specifically. We've got so many different local boards, so many different local sort of enforcement on real estate rules, let alone across all 4 of our regions and the country. And so we, all these have computer issues signing in, so using phone. Got it. Okay. So, basically, there are so many different local rules and state levels when it comes to real estate law that we kind of have a company guideline when it comes to your business page. These are the main rules that we kind of ask that you follow when it comes to Facebook business pages. These are the rules that if you follow these and get reported or something happens, we will have your back. If you don't have these things kind of filled out in the way that we suggest, it's going to be harder for us to sort of back you up because this is how we interpret some of these real estate laws. So your business page must clarify that you are a licensed agent with your local DBA. So for you guys, of course, it'd be Coldwell Banker, St. Croix Realty. It says the about or story section is often the best place for this. So if we go to my test page that I have here, I'm going to leave that. You'll see that I have 2 things here, right? I have my about section, which is which about section is like 2 or 3 sentences, but you'll see it starts with licensed realtor with Coldwell Banker, Woodland Schmidt in the state of Michigan, right? So I have it right there. Additionally, I have it in this story section. Now, not to get too in the weeds here, your about section is 2 or 3 lines max. Your story section, you have a lot of room to expand, and it's basically a longer bio. But again, the first thing you see is I'm a licensed realtor with Coldwell Banker, Woodland Schmidt in Holland, Michigan. So have that somewhere on your page. Another quick note, and I don't want to get, like I said, too far into bios and stuff, but this is just a recommendation sort of thing, but if you ever have a bio anywhere on your website, on your Facebook page, and a brochure about yourself, I always recommend going in the first person. So I have been doing this for this long. My interests are this. I enjoy this versus JD has been a realtor for this. JD's interests include blah, 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 stuff like that. If I'm reading something about you that came from you, like I said, a marketing piece, a video, a bio, I want it to feel like I'm talking to you. I don't want it to feel like I'm reading the back of your book. I want it to feel like, hey, this is me. This is who I am. This is a way to get to know me. So that's just a couple 2 cents there, a couple cents there for you. I always recommend writing in first person, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's the first point. The first point, like I said. Clarify you're a licensed agent with your local DBA. Number 2, have your broker's address as the business address. So you see the about section here. You can see it here as well. Your business address should be your business address, right? I've had a couple agents say, well, can I do my home address because I work out of this office, but the area that I'm trying to kind of farm is a few miles away. And unfortunately, no, the answer to that is no. Your address for your business page has to be the office you work out of. That's one of those legality things when it comes to real estate advertising law. Um, Last but not least, this one is not, in my conversations with Tracy, this one is not required, but is heavily, from my perspective, recommended. Have your DBA in your cover photo. So you have an example of that down here. You can see that I've got one up here on my test page with like the soccer thing going on. I always tell people I meant to add the line like, helping you achieve your real estate goals along the bottom, just to keep, the soccer puns, because everyone loves a good soccer pun. So have that logo in there. Now, if you don't have Photoshop, or you don't have like the abilities to do that, that's why you have a marketing team here. It's super simple for us to drop in a logo on a photo. If you've got one you want to use, send it over to us and say, do you mind adding the St. Croix logo to the corner, in the middle, whatever you want that to look like. You could say, can you put the St. Croix logo here and put my info on the left-hand side, or anything like that. So I would strongly recommend having the logo in your local DBA in your cover photo. Just as a precaution, and just to, another reason to be able to say, no, look, I've got my logo right there. I'm very clear about this. Ultimately, my understanding about, just let me do the switch thing I love to do. Come on now. Morning, guys. Oh, wow. I gotta take care of that. Maybe the main thing that I understand it to be is like NAR and your local boards, they want people to be able to tell the difference between like you as a licensed professional realtor and as Joe Schmo down the street sharing that they listed their home, right? Like it's just, hey, our home's for sale, click on that, versus I'm a licensed realtor. And by following these rules, you're putting yourself in a position where there's not really, if someone's on your business page, there's not really any, nothing's left in the air, right? It's pretty obvious that you're a licensed realtor or something like that. So follow those rules and your business page will be pretty secure. We're going to move on. I'm going to try to do it full screen so you guys can see it better. Your digital footprint. So what people see about you online. So this is not a deep thought, obviously. The internet is incorporated into our everyday lives, into everything we do. I mean, in my house specifically, we've got Alexa set up throughout the house. We've got, obviously we use Siri as well. Like everything that we do involves the internet. Almost everything we do involves the internet in some way, shape, or form. Even though I'm someone who reads physical books, I most of the time order those books from the internet, right? Restaurants, movies, shopping, politics, etc. Literally right before we started this call, I was texting my brother because he just turned 18, and I said, hey, are you registered to vote? And he goes, okay, honest question, how do you do that? And I sent him a link on Facebook, and it's almost like TurboTax. It's literally TurboVote, right? So within 10 minutes, he's registered and ready to go. So even things like, and not, you're not talking about actual politics and stuff like that, but we all know too, that's all of this stuff. Restaurants, look for reviews, look for menus. Movies, what are the show times? Going to look online, watch a trailer. Shopping, that obviously politics, etc. Right? Real estate's no different. Again, I don't need to tell you guys this. Real estate, everything about real estate is online. Now, that being said, a lot of people still find their realtors through some form of a referral, whether it's friend or family, someone they know on Facebook. I've had plenty of people say they get referrals from Facebook just because of friends of friends. That being said, when you refer to somebody online, they will check you out online. So the kind of example I always give here is when by the way, can you show main screen? You guys can see, yeah, you can see me right now. I always forget. It's weird. I can't see my, anyway. When we moved back from LA back to Michigan, my wife and I didn't know where we were going to live or what we were going to do. Were we going to rent? Were we going to buy? What our situation was. So I asked my parents, I said, they had lived in the area they'd lived in for 15, 20 years at that point. So I said, do you guys know any realtors in the area that we could get in contact with? And they said, yeah, and they sent us 2 names. Immediately, the first thing we did after receiving those names was Google both of them. And that's sort of standard procedure for a lot of people and for a lot of aspects of life too, not just real estate, right? But restaurants. Like I said, hey, have you guys checked this place out? Oh no, let me look it up real quick. Boom. You're checking out their Facebook page, you're Googling their name, something like that. When we Googled those 2 names, the first realtor we Googled from my parents, and again, this is only 2 years ago, so it's not like this was 7 or 8 years ago. The first name we Googled, nothing about real estate came up. They didn't have a website, they didn't have a business page. I could not tell that that person was a realtor. So that we immediately didn't work with them. It was really shocking, obviously, that they didn't have a website. But I had told my wife, I was like, if they could be the best realtor in town, but there's no way to tell. I don't, and that says a lot about their marketing. If they don't have a website, if they don't have a business page, do they do any online marketing? And would we want to work with someone who doesn't? So the other realtor, the second realtor, did have a website, so at least we could see his photo. Excuse me. We could see his contact info, see his listings. So already, by not having an internet presence at all, that person was out. That we weren't going to work with that person. So just goes to show, right? Like, it's important to have an online presence, at least in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, let's go back to the presentation. Yeah, it's vital to being discovered and respected online. So like I said, not only can you be discovered online, but what I can find about you when I Google you says something about you, right? What do your websites look like? Does your website look outdated? Is it old and seems like it's 15 years old? Because that make me go, okay, well then maybe they don't know what they're doing nowadays. This goes with everything though. Your website, your Facebook page, Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, everything, right? So on that note in particular, what I always tell people is I know there are a lot of profiles, right? Like I literally, for us, we might have a Schmidt site, you have your Coldwell Banker site, Zillow profile, Facebook page. You might have a Yelp page, maybe not. Don't go out and make one if you don't have one. But Trulia, Realtor.com, right? And then everybody has their one or two things that they do by themselves, whether it's next door or something along those lines. There's a lot of things. My sort of recommendation when it comes to that stuff is, set all of it up. Have a Word document with all of your info. Maybe you have a 2 or 3 paragraph bio that you have written up. You have your you have your headshot next to it, and as a JPEG in your downloads folder. And then just spend the time, whether it's like just blasting it out in an hour or over time, set up all of those profiles identically. Identically? That sounds like a weird word. I think that's right though. Identically. Make sure they all have the same photo, the same info, the same contact info, so that no matter where I find you, maybe I find you on Zillow, maybe I find your Coldwell Banker profile first, no matter where I find you, all of the info is the same. I'm not going to find info that clashes on one site compared to another one. It's all, you are kind of taking control over what people see about you online. So and then after that, find 1 or 2 that you do like and use those a lot. Like, you don't need to keep up with everything all of the time, right? For me, like I said, if I'd set up all my profiles and then my Coldwell Banker website and my Facebook page. Those would be the things that I work on every day, every week, put a lot of time and effort into. Everything else though, my Zillow profile, I probably wouldn't pay Zillow right now, but I would want my profile set up so that it's not just a silhouette of me. You have an actual photo of me. So take the time to set up your profiles and then pick 1 or 2 and then kind of go with those. So, but my point is, if you don't have anything set up, or if you only have 1 or 2 and the other ones you kind of let just kind of sit, chances are someone's going to find one of those someday, and then whether they try to call a number, maybe the number is broken and it's an old number, you don't want that to happen. You want to kind of fix that before it's too late. Back to the profile. Facebook attitude. So I try very hard to not speak too bluntly about things, but at the end of the day, right now, the way things are going, Facebook is the future. Don't try and fight it, and you're not going to win, right? If MySpace couldn't win, if Twitter couldn't win, if Yelp or Craigslist, if all of these people could not beat Facebook, you are not going to beat them as well, especially when your sphere, like we've established previously, is on Facebook. You can't look at it as a box to check off. You can't go on autopilot. Don't pay a service to post to your page for you, okay? None of those things work. Put the work in, make it part of your business plan. Now listen, I know that Facebook content creation is a lot of work. We talked about that last week. Coming up with what to post, what kind of videos do I do, where do I find stuff? It is a lot of work, but that is, whether fortunately or unfortunately, that is the way things are right now. That is what people are looking for online. They're looking for valuable content. They're looking for valuable videos, photos, anything like that. So it's not, like I said, you're not going to win if you try to fight that kind of wave, I guess is a way to put it. I have too many people who think of Facebook, and again, this is just mentality versus not necessarily video quite yet, but too many people who think of Facebook as like, well, I'll start doing it. I'll schedule things here or there. I'll put 5 or 6 links out a week, but I don't really want to do video, or I don't really want to do ads. Well, then you're not going to get the success out of it. But like if you're not going to put in the work, you're not going to get the success. I know that, again, that's a very simplistic thing, but what frustrates me the most is when I tell people Facebook needs to be a main part of your marketing plan, and people don't listen, or they kind of half bake it a little bit, and then they get mad, or they come to me and say, yeah, it's not working, I'm not getting the leads or the business. It's like, well, you're not putting the work in that I told you to put into it. You can't put in a little bit of the work and expect a lot of the success. So I think people's attitudes toward Facebook, some people have a great attitude. A lot of you guys in St. Croix have been engaging with me a lot on this Facebook stuff, and I've been really encouraged by that. But I've got a lot of agents across the company who they see it as, like I said, an extra thing to do, a box to check off. Well, I put my Facebook post up for the day. Okay, how much work did you put into finding that post, into thinking about that video, into putting money behind your ads, right? Like if you're not really thinking of it as a main part of your plan, I think that's the main problem that I have is people, they spend 60% of their budget every year on these print advertising, another 30% on events and sponsors, and all of those things are great. But if you only put 5% or 10% of your budget toward online digital ads, that's how much success you're going to get out of it. So I'm not going to hammer on that point too more. I know I've done that a lot, but it's an attitude thing, right? If you want Facebook to be the lead generation and powerful marketing platform that it can be, then you need to put in the work to equal that. So soapbox down. Well, I guess soapbox is there. I'm just off of it. These are all of the things that Facebook can do. It can help you find more leads. It can keep you in contact with your sphere, help you target specific areas. It can help you grow your name and brand recognition in those areas. But it is not a magic potion. Like that's another one of those mentality things that people don't really get. It is not a little fairy dust that you put your listing on Facebook and it sells. I think that's one thing that I get a lot too, is that people who don't use Facebook, when none of their marketing is working or the home's not selling, they come to me and they go, hey, I want to put this home on Facebook. I've been having issues selling it. Well, just putting it on Facebook is probably not going to sell it itself. I had one agent in particular who, in Rockford, my hometown, he came to me and said, I've got this listing that's not selling. I need help, boosting or whatever. So we looked at the listing, and the basement had shag carpet walls all around the basement. And I was like, listen, Andy, I don't think the problem is your marketing. I think the problem might be the shag carpet walls, So, but I have a lot of people who think if I put an ad on Facebook, I'm going to get a buyer. If I put a video on Facebook, I'm going to get 3 new clients. Sometimes that happens. I had an agent do a slideshow video for one of his listings back in, I'd say around December, and he got 22,000 views on that video within 7 days, and he got, buyers, plenty of offers for it. That was awesome. That's often the anomaly, though, not really like, the main, what happens every time. But it's not a magic potion. It's not something that you can just do as I think maybe the better way to put it is that it's not a last resort. You don't do Facebook when everything else has failed, because that's not going to save you. It's not going to be like the magic potion that sells that listing for you. But it can do all of those things. So let's move on to video. Let's move on to what we're all really here for, right? Video stuff. Video stats. So again, I've noticed that a lot of different things speak to different people. Sometimes it's anecdotes, sometimes it's stats, sometimes it's just like yelling at somebody. But I kind of have a little bit of all of those. So let's look at these stats from Facebook, stats about Facebook. And I got the source from WordStream down at the bottom. More than 500 million hours of videos are watched on YouTube each day. 500 million hours daily. And I'm probably one of those hours. 1/3 of all online activity right now is spent watching video. And if you scroll down, if you look down to the bottom point, I probably should have rearranged them. By 2019, internet video traffic will account for 80%, so 4/5 of all online consumer traffic will be video. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, YouTube, Facebook, how-tos, tips, everything. Video is what we are trending toward. I've seen ads from Facebook on Facebook, Facebook ads, talking about mobile marketing and how videos, the way things are going, and how, by 2021 it'll be this, and by this it'll be this. So like they're just saying video is moving more and more and more toward video. That's where everyone's moving, video. So 20, it's only getting more and more. This third point though is when you're talking in terms of marketing, right, is huge. Social video generates 1,200% more shares than text and images combined. That is insane to me. That in itself should be enough. If I am a small business trying to market myself online, that point in itself is enough to make me go, all right, then we gotta do video. 1,200% more shares than text and images combined. This fourth point is both interesting and has its caveats, right? 85% of Facebook videos are watched without sound because sound starts automatically. So you look at that stat, and as true as it is, there are still some things that are kind of skew it, right? So like if a video comes across my Facebook feed, it starts without sound. Now I might not actually watch that video. I'm sorry guys. Might not actually watch that video, but it might count as a view, and so therefore I view that video without sound. It also depends on the video though, right? So like if my video is a listing video about an interior walkthrough or an exterior kind of drone footage or something along those lines, there's no need to watch that with sound. There's no voiceover, there's no, I should be putting that stuff on screen. That being said, there are going to be videos of you talking, of you demonstrating something, where if people really want to pay attention, they will put on that audio. And again, that comes back to what we've talked about before about having valuable content, having stuff that people want to engage with. If your pieces are worthy of being engaged with, meaning if people want to hear what you have to say, to see what you're doing, they'll turn the audio on, especially if it's only a 45, 60-second video. But those are just some stats about video. One thing I also want to go over is YouTube versus Facebook. Both are great video tools, but they are not the same thing. First of all, you should not copy and paste a YouTube link to Facebook. That is killer. But secondly, you should not, the same video that you'd put on YouTube oftentimes will not do well on Facebook and vice versa. So I'm going to go over a couple of these examples here, and then I'm going to show you a physical example. So YouTube versus Facebook. YouTube, people seek videos out. Most of the time, if I'm going to YouTube to watch a video, I am going there to specifically to find something. Whether that is a tip, whether that is a YouTuber or a channel that I like, whether that's a topic that I'm interested in. I am there to seek something out, and therefore, I'm much more likely to watch longer form content because I'm seeking it out. So if I go, the example I always use is that a little under a year ago, my car radio went out, and I did not want to pay somebody to fix it because I felt like it was an easy fix. So I went to YouTube, I typed in my car model and the word radio, and there was a 7-minute tutorial on how to take out and replace the section of the car. That was awesome, and I watched all 7 minutes because it was valuable to me because I went there to find it. And we'll compare that in a minute to Facebook. Subscribers kind of goes into the first point, right? People subscribe to YouTubers or YouTube channels because they like the content they produce. Easier to share. YouTube links are infinitely easier to share than Facebook links. You don't have to have a YouTube profile to sign in. That is very rarely an issue nowadays. Most people have Facebook accounts as well. But I can send a YouTube link really short and sweet, whereas a Facebook video link is really long and sort of complicated to share. So that's, if I was ever doing email blasts or newsletters or anything with my videos there, I would be sharing YouTube links there. Facebook, on the other hand, needs to grab my attention. So people often stumble upon a video, meaning somebody shared it on their page. Facebook overall is a lot more of a social platform than YouTube in the sense that I'm engaging directly with friends and family as opposed to channels. So yeah, I'll often see a video that somebody shared. I mean, if I go to my personal account right now, I wonder, I'm hoping that I'm not wrong on this. Come on. Okay, cool. The first thing that I see is a video from a page that I follow, right? So that's how I find videos a lot of times. People share them. People I like, people I'm friends with. Again, buddy of mine sharing a weird meme right there. And that's how I watch a video. So now I might go, okay, so-and-so shared this video, is it worth watching? Also, just to kind of go over the importance of video, I have scrolled through, let's count the post. The first post I see on Facebook when I click, just go to the website, is a video from a page I follow. The next thing I see is an ad. The third thing I see is a video. The fourth thing I see is photos. The fifth thing I see is a video. So 3 out of the 5 posts that I've already seen are videos. Again, that is what gets shared more. But I'm at the point now where I go, okay, if I want to watch this video, I'll keep watching. If I don't, I'm going to keep scrolling. I've sort of stumbled upon these videos. I did not go to seek out this 60-second documentary video. So people stumble upon videos. Facebook needs that. People often stumble. Most of the time, 60 seconds max is a good length. Like we said here, actually, this is a great example. So again, this is called 60-second docs. So I've never heard of it before, but it's become a good example for me, so I'm going to use it, right? 60-second documentaries. And then the next point you'll see here is that I say is that text should be on screen if possible. Meaning that, that's just my life, we're going to go on Do Not Disturb. Text should go on screen as possible, meaning that because so many people do watch video without sound, you want me to be able to see your point versus having to hear it. So again, 60 seconds and loneliness actually shortens our lifespan. Well, that's really sad. We don't need that negativity, right? I've had too much negativity this week as is, so I don't need this. But you get the point. 60 seconds, text is on screen. This is a great example of a Facebook video. I was hoping to find another good example, but it's not going to. Now we're going to go into other stuff. But that's just an ad. So let's see. I want to show you another example of the sort of stuff I used to do at my old job, SourceFed. RIP SourceFed. So again, this video, first frame you see, is this the future of selfies? So you see the title, you see the image that I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to pull you in by showing you what I'm talking about. And if you look at the video length, I don't know how well you can see it down here, 39 seconds. So under a minute, text on screen, and I'm showing you what we're looking at. So again, a great example of another Facebook video. Giving a webinar for an hour right now. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation. Oh yeah, actually no, I was going to show you an example of why you should not share a YouTube link on Facebook. And I probably gave you guys this example in the first or second webinar. It's an example I give a lot, but it's something I do want to show you guys because it's a great example of this. So this is one of my brother's many musical acts that he does. He's this is one of his main projects. He's a musician, I should probably say. And when he created this business page, I kept telling myself, I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to get involved. Then I saw what he was doing, and I got involved. So let's scroll down to the post I want to show you as what is a very bad example of a Facebook post, and why I ended up getting involved. Almost on there is in May, so we're almost there. So this right here, this is a post that he did as an ad or a post on Facebook. So one thing I already forgot to show you is that I clicked see more to see all this. So we've talked about the see more thing before. I clicked see more to get all of this stuff on here. So let's go over this from the top, right? First thing you see, I'm trying to zoom in a bit more. There we go. First thing you see is a link. It starts with a messy HTTP www blah 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 link. That looks gross. Don't start with the link. Next, you've got a little bit of a paragraph here about the video, about, hey, new single. That's great, fantastic. One point of contention I have, video directed by the one and only Miles Ferguson. Now, I've told him this before. Miles is a friend of his, right? He's not a person that people know. It's not like saying, directed by Wes Anderson or directed by Steven Spielberg. When you're doing an ad, the information that I see should only be relevant to me, the viewer. You better only be telling me things that I care about. I don't know who Miles Ferguson is, so I don't care. I was in a conversation with one of our third-party vendors who does drone footage, and they were asking, can you put a credit for the drone footage in the Facebook ad itself? And I told him, listen, I will absolutely credit you in the videos themselves. Put a line, footage provided by so-and-so. But we only have so much text when marketing a listing in this area right over here. And secondly, if I'm marketing a listing, I'm not trying to also market the vendor that I use to create the ad, right? So you want to make sure the information that I see is relevant to me as a viewer. Secondly, the next thing, there's another link down here. So it's not the same link. So already there are 2 different links to 2 different places in one post. I'm not going to click on both of them, let alone probably one of them. And then thirdly, I don't know what number I'm on. The main point though is that this is what it looks like when you share a YouTube link. Small little square right here, youtube.com, and you see the text and the band right there. If I want to watch it, I have to click on it and load it in another tab. Which, again, a lot of work. If I see this on my phone, I gotta load it up another tab on my phone. If I don't have Wi-Fi, I don't want to use my data, etc., 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 right? Now let's scroll to the top and show you this other example that we're talking about. This is the ad that I did for him once I saw that happen and said, all right, I need to sort of get involved here, Caleb. Boom. So already, I'm pausing it, but you notice the video auto-played. This is what the ad looked like. There's no links in the text. There is a Shop Now link right here that takes you to the Bandcamp page to purchase the song. The text says presenting the song, the new single from Sparkplug available on these places. And then I said, if you're a fan of these artists, this music is for you. To try to reel the people in. And of course, when I did an ad, I targeted people who were interested in those artists and other artists similar. So it was a targeted audience. The video played automatically, and if I click on it, you hear the music plays right away. Wow, that got a little loud. So my point is that this gives me a Shop Now button. There are no messy links, and the video plays automatically. This is because I uploaded the clip directly into Facebook. I did not copy and paste a link from YouTube, okay? So yeah, I would always recommend uploading. I mean, I wouldn't say recommend. If I could make you do one thing, if you ever have the opportunity to upload a clip as opposed to share a YouTube link, always upload the clip. If you're working with a drone company or some other company that does footage or photo for you, and they give you a YouTube link, say, may I have the file, please? The video file to upload to Facebook. Also, I have to do the plug, of course. If you're interested in some good music, check out Sparkplug, because pretty good are the 2 songs they've released so far. Anyway, so video. Let's get into video now, okay? Actual topics, how-tos, etc. If you can say something in a video, is this the right way to do it? Yeah. If you can say something in a video, say it in a video. I get this question a lot. Okay, I'm going to do video. What should I do video on? This is a cop-out answer, I know, but literally anything. Anything you can do a video on. If you find an interesting article, whether it's something going on around St. Croix, some helpful tips, anything like that, don't post an article, shoot a quick video instead. An example that I always use, and I'm sure I've given you guys this one as well, Coldwell Banker, obviously they have a lot of pet videos, right? Like, or pet content. Adopt a Pet is one of their huge pushes when it comes to their videos, their marketing, anything. And if you go to the Coldwell Banker blog, there's plenty of great articles about how to do this with your pet, how to do that. One of them that I found that I use as an example is there was an article of how to move pets long distances. And 5 tips on how to make them comfortable, how to make sure that they're safe, etc. So I have 2 options, right? I could go ahead and share that article to my business page, and it would, the photo would load, and it's really pretty. Or, just as an example, this is Gus, one of my alive dogs, and we adopted him in Los Angeles. The screen's reflecting, sorry. We adopted Gus in Los Angeles, and then when we moved to Michigan, about a year after getting him, a little less than a year, I think, well, a little more actually, I don't know. We moved, it was less. We moved him from LA to Holland, Michigan. So if I could just make sure I position that well, whatever. I could just post that article, or I could go home, set up my iPhone against like a book, against something on my kitchen table or on my coffee table, put Gus in my lap and go, hey guys, JD here, realtor with Coldwell Banker. This is my dog Gus. Now, Gus and I moved from Los Angeles a couple of years ago, and there are a couple of things that I would have loved to know before I moved with him. So tip number 1, always make sure, blah, blah, blah. Tip number 2, definitely, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's it from Gus and I. I hope, from me and Gus. Hope you guys have a great day. Talk to you later, right? Boom. So 2 options. Post an article that shares that information, or get my dog on screen and share that information visually. What's somebody more likely to engage with? An article, again, we're talking mobile here. Are they more likely to click on an article, watch it, wait for it to load, and then scroll and read this whole article? Or if I record a 45-second video with a dog in it, are they more likely, part of my sphere especially, to watch that video? One thing to keep in mind, like if someone's on your business page, they're there for a reason. Whether it's they've worked with you, they trust you, they like you, all of the above. So they're already valuing your opinion to some degree. So people think to me, well, what's my opinion matter? Why do I, why are you a real estate agent in the first place? Because your expertise and your opinion matters to people. So that's what I mean when I say don't post an article if you can say something about it. If you're, like I said, if you're downtown, if there's something going on, instead of sharing the event, share a video saying, hey, this Friday I'm going to be downtown at the annual blah blah blah, the pumpkin parade or the pumpkin 5K. I'm not going to be dressing up, but I will be down there. Whatever. Do a video on it. Does not need to be long. It should not be long. It definitely, like I said, 60 seconds max is normally pretty good with Facebook. There are always exceptions to their rule, but 60 seconds, especially if it's you talking, is sort of what you want. Is sort of what you want to aim for. This is an opinion point here, and people, you might hear other things, but it does not and probably should not be scripted. If you script something, whether you're reading it, let me get back to here. Whether I wrote it on like a sticky note and then put it on my screen so that I can read it above the camera, or if I memorized it beforehand, what you're going to be doing is focusing on what you memorized, not the message, right? You're going to be trying to go, hello. Now, this third point that I wanted to share with you is pre-approval. When you get pre-approved, like you're going to be trying to remember what you wrote word for word. Now, the downside, obviously, is that you might ramble. You might kind of stumble a little bit. Now, like I said, I personally talk a lot, so I need to know ahead of time. I'll write my 3 points down. I might say, like even for my webinar I did this morning for Blue Sync, I wrote down the 2 points that I was going to talk about, but I didn't script any of it, right? I said I'm going to talk about this, I'm going to talk about this. So maybe write down your points, know what you want to talk about, but don't script it, because scripting just comes off as kind of robotic sometimes. I always tell people, one thing I learned when I worked at my job at SourceFit out in LA is that reading a teleprompter is literally like a professional skill. I tried it a couple times and it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And I was not as good as these hosts who do it day in, day out. So you putting a sheet of paper beneath your camera is going to be even more detrimental than if you were reading a teleprompter. So don't script your video. Focus on the message, not the memorization. That's going to become a lot more natural. I'll get into my other example in a moment. But the last thing too, you are your own worst critic, so you need to get over that. I cannot tell you how many people I've talked to who understand that video is important, but are too nervous about being on camera, or don't like the way they look, or don't like the way they sound. I talked with an agent once. I helped edit one of her videos, and I edited it for about half an hour, just throwing some clips together. And then I said, she came into the office, stood right here, showed her the video. She goes, oh, I don't like the way my voice cracked in that one point. And I said, listen, I just edited this for 30 minutes, and I did not notice your voice crack once. You are always going to be your own worst critic, and I don't want that to be what stops you from doing... Woo. It's even worse when it's on camera. Sorry. I don't want that to be what stops you from doing video, because I've seen that happen far too many times, where that's actually what prevents people from doing video, and then they never tap into that market. They never tap into that medium. I have a question here. Are you talking about me? No, Corinne, I'm not talking about you. Although you did have that same exact issue of I don't want to be on camera, but you said you weren't prepared, and that's totally fine. But no, there is a different agent a few months ago who came in, and it was just like a voice crack. I mean, even now my voice is a little scratchy, but like I'm not gonna notice that and go, oh, I can't do a video now. So you're always gonna be your own worst critic. And also, one manager told me this once. You look the way you look and you sound the way you sound. If you don't like that, then change it, or don't change it. But that's the way you look and that's the way you sound. So get over it and get on camera. Whether that's for a headshot, whether that's for a video. And listen, I'm the same way. I don't like the way I look or sound on camera, but it's part of my job, so I do it. And I'm more comfortable than I used to be, and it only gets better with time. But don't let that be, the main point is, don't let that be what stops you from being on camera, from shooting a video. Because if you let that stop you, you're never going to actually do it, and you're never going to reap the success of it. By the way, if you notice a little cut on my lip, That's because yesterday morning I woke up and laid down on the couch, and then my puppy came up and scratched my lip, so I have a battle wound from a 12-week-old puppy. It's not because I've been picking at it or anything. I just want to clear the air on that right away, okay? So, video ideas. Let's talk about, let me turn my camera off. Like I said, if you can say it in a video, say it in a video. You're almost quick, so get over it. Video ideas, actual things you could do. Now again, these are just examples, so there are so many options. Market area updates. I see people do that a lot, and I always use the example of like people posting graphs and charts to Facebook that they get from their mortgage lender about the way interest rates are going and stuff like that. And I'm talking about maybe more about interest and market rates, but I see that and I tell people never post that stuff. If I am like a consumer buyer or seller in Holland or in St. Croix, in Christiansted, I don't care or know what any of that crap means. Boil it down for me. So again, go on camera, turn your camera on, looking exactly like mine does now, which is me in my office saying, "Hey guys, JD here. Listen, it's summer. So again, I might want to plan a little bit better, but hey guys, listen, JD here. Listen, interest rates are going up. I know that people say that a lot, but what that really means is that if you're going to buy a home 2 months from now, you're going to pay more every month then than you would if you bought a home now. So if you're on the fence about buying or selling and you think you're going to do it soon, call me now, because if you don't, you're going to spend more money later and you're going to regret it. So give me a call. We'll save you some money. We'll get you a great mortgage rate, and let's do this, right? Boom, done. As opposed to sharing a chart or a graph about how rates are going up and things are going to skyrocket, right? So do it in a way that communicates things better to me, me being the consumer. I'm going to go down this list here. The next one, Facebook Facebook Live open house tours. That's a pretty obvious one, right? You see people doing stuff like that a lot. Hey guys, JD here. I have an open house starting in an hour. I wanted to give you guys a quick tour of the place. So if you go over here, and again, if you're doing it, Facebook Live, you can shoot this way. Over everything else should be like this. But yeah, Facebook Live, you're shooting like this. If you're doing Facebook Live, make sure that people can see the house behind you. Make sure your face is not filling up the entire frame. Q&A. So this is a pretty common one. This is one that Corinne, the one that Corinne, the video that I'm working on for you, kind of covers 3 of these points, right? But Q&A with someone in the industry, with someone local, with someone of value. Again, if you're doing a Q&A with someone, make sure that if I watch that video, I'm getting value out of it. So a local restaurant owner, a local mortgage officer, I have a lot of people do that, and that I've helped with or seen people do is they sit down with a mortgage officer and explain what pre-approval means. They explain issues with taxes coming. They explain something so that if I watch it, I understand it. I get something out of it. Now, again, just tip of caution there, make sure that whoever you're going to bring on camera knows what they're doing on camera. I've seen it as well where people do that and they're very unnatural, very kind of awkward, and it doesn't go too well. So, but Q&As, or the flip of that, and this kind of ties in with the next point, which is tip of the day, you can just say, hey guys, JD here, listen, I just had a client ask me recently why they need to get pre-approved before we see 4 or 5 homes this weekend. And I wanted to explain to you as a whole why, because I get that question a lot, right? So the Q&A can be with yourself. Now, if there's a topic you want to cover that somebody didn't ask you a question about, doesn't matter. Just say, someone recently asked me a question, or I ran into someone recently and I said I was a realtor and they kind of scoffed and they said, oh, you guys are only in it for this. Well, let me actually explain how this works. So again, you can come up with scenarios, you can come up with situations as to why you're sharing that information. Tip of the day, right? Tip of the day could be real estate related, or it could be, any like hobby related. My wife has been doing a lot of gardening ever since we bought a home a year ago. So she could be doing her tip of the day videos there. Hey, tip of the day. Listen, we are going through a heat wave right now in Holland. It has been over 90. I know, you St. Croix people. It's been over 90 every single day for a week and a half, and we've got no rain. So I wanted to make sure you guys know you gotta water your plants. I know it may sound simple, or I could do the flip of that. Instead of doing a tip of the day, I could do how not to garden a day, because I'm sort of the opposite Midas when it comes to gardening. Everything I touch normally ends up dying. So, you could have fun with it that way. 3 cool new blank, right? And again, this presentation, I'll make sure people can download this. Actually, let me see if I can do that right now through this little handout section. I'm going to try to desktop presentation. I'm going to try to send this through that you guys can download right now, but of course it'll be available. You just email me, or I'll make sure to give it to you guys. So I'm uploading that into this handout section. So if you can download that there, that's awesome. But 3 cool new anything, right? 3 cool new ways to do this. One of my favorite examples I had an agent do was, instead of, she was an interior kind of decorating, was like one of her things. And instead of like talking about these 2 new tiles, she went to Lowe's or Home Depot or, your local hardware store and said, hey guys, there's a lot of new kitchen designs coming into play lately, and I wanted to show you 2 of them. The first one, and she took the tile off the shelf and basically said, the first one is this kind of backsplash. Right now you can see here that the squares are a little bit bigger, and I've seen people do something like this when it comes to, when they have like a marble sort of kitchen counter. The other one that I want to show you is a lot simpler. Now this is a weirder shape, it's a bit more out there, but she took those tiles and those ideas and put them on screen and then gave her opinion on them. And then at the end asked, so what do you guys think? What's your favorite thing, right? So visually showing and giving an opinion on something. This might be, the last one I have on this thing is show off around town, right? So when we were first starting to merge with you guys, to kind of bring you into the Schmidt family, I was looking up St. Croix and looking up your Facebook page that I think, Corinne, you run for the St. Croix Realty page. But there was one video that I saw that I think you had shared of like a cab driver, and it was like 6 or 16, I don't remember, minutes long, but of a cab driver in St. Croix just driving around St. Christiansted, I think it was, just showing off the area. And it was really interesting, especially for somebody who had never been there before. All he was doing was showing off the area, showing off the streets, talking about the areas he was driving, like basically giving me a tour of the area. That was a little long, like I said, but it was really interesting, and I found value out of watching that video. So, showing off around town. But all of these things, all of these topics on this page, they come back to the main point that the one thing you should take away from all of these 4 weeks of listening to me talk for an hour a week is value. They all give the viewer some sort of value. And that's the ultimate goal, is that someone watched my video and got something from it, right? Talked about the dog video last week, the 4th of July video last week, I think I showed you guys. It was interesting, but it got value. What app do you suggest to add writing or logo to the video? I am going to go over that at the end, actually. So hold on tight to that question, Corinne. The value is the important thing. One example that I'm going to share with you guys that I don't want you guys to share with anybody else, because it's an idea that we had that I don't want shared, is in Holland, the city kind of directly east of us is called Hudsonville. And in Michigan, they have a very famous company called Hudsonville Ice Cream. It's kind of like a local, obviously, ice cream company, but it's sold in all the stores across the state. You can find it outside of the state too. But it's really, really good, pretty famous. And my wife and I had the idea. Like I said, we're avid. I worked in YouTube for 2 years. I met all of my favorite YouTube stars. I've been around a lot of, we grew up with YouTube. And there's this one YouTube channel called Rhett and Link. They do a show called Good Mythical Morning. It's kind of a daily morning talk show, or morning, kind of show. And they do taste tests a lot. They do food tests. And whether it's really gross things, or they'll do like blind taste tests where they're like, which, can you match the burger to the restaurant, right? They got McDonald's, Burger King, all these different burgers, and they blindfold, take a bite, and they have to guess which one it is. And it's entertaining. Do I get anything out of it besides entertainment? Not really. I can say, I could definitely know that versus this, but it was entertaining. So my wife and I have had the idea to do a Hudsonville ice cream taste test, right? Like, we know that we don't, we blindly taste 5 different flavors of ice cream, and then we guess which one it is, and whoever gets the most points wins a stupid trophy or hat, right? And that would be it'd be a funny video because of A, the rapport between the two of us, hopefully. B, people can watch the ice creams and be like, how could they not get that was Oreo or something silly like that? And then C, it's, like I said, it's just entertaining, ideally. And does that give you anything from it? You might think that's a really weird video to kind of do from like a real estate kind of lifestyle page. And yeah, it kind of is. But what that does is it shows you what it's like to work with me and her, what we are like, what our relationship is like. And hopefully makes you go, I want to work with those people because they're funny, they're interesting, they're helpful, whatever that is. So again, it's just value. And entertainment is value. That's one thing that I think I want to make sure people understand too, is like, you can do a video that purely is just entertaining in some way, shape, or form, and that's still valuable. So don't discredit entertainment as If anything, that's more valuable because that's the kind of stuff that gets shared. That's the kind of stuff that people find interesting and gets your name kind of pushed out there more. So, so yeah, those are some of the ideas we have. We're in the last 10 minutes, and I don't think we're going to go too far over. So, video tips. It does not need to be professional, meaning that you do not need to have a fancy camera for every single video you do. One of my favorite people I follow when it comes to digital marketing is Gary Vaynerchuk. I've talked about him a lot. I'm sure you've heard me talk about him before. But if you look at his videos, if you just go to his channel and look at some of it, again, he's got 2-3 million people on his page, I believe. And I don't want to be wrong here, but look at, that's an edit. That's kind of a reel. But the first video you see, and again, I think this is actually his cover video, which is the one we were just looking at. My main point originally was if you go and look at his videos, yeah, okay, so that video, 1.4 million views. It's literally him talking into his iPhone. If you go to his home, his page, I'm not going to hit on this too much. 2.8 million people follow him on Facebook. A lot of his videos, even his vlogs, you can see his vlogs here. They're literally him in cars. It's him texting. It's him driving around the city. You know, you can't see it too well. But my point is like, this guy is someone who is making millions and millions of dollars a year. And he uses an iPhone for a lot of his video. So it doesn't need to be professional. It can be, as long, it's the content that's important. Unless you're doing Facebook Live, always shoot horizontal, like I said. Studies kind of show that, YouTube Director is a dead app, so I gotta delete that. Studies kind of show that for whatever reason, 15-second increments tend to do better. So 15, 30, 45, 60. If your video is kind of getting toward like 24, 23 seconds, run it closer to 30. It's for whatever reason, studies have shown that those have done a little bit better over time. Keep it 60 seconds or under if possible. Like I said, depending on the format of the video, depending on the content, it might be longer. Just know that the longer your video goes, the more likely you are to lose viewers as it goes. There's normally a 10 to 20% video watch rate, meaning like if you have a 60-second video, most people will watch the first 2/3 of it, or first third of it. The longer the video goes, the more people are going to drop off before the end. Editing software. So let me get into this one too. I'm going to add, I think it's Video Shop is the one that I'm thinking of. And then what's the other one that I use? I have it on my phone, InShot. So you see at the end, I say Google. What I mean by that is that there are so many editing softwares out there that you can just go and if you just Google editing on the App Store, sorry, not Google, if you search editing on the App Store, there are going to be loads and loads and loads of them. That being said, iMovies is free with Macs. Unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, most editing softwares work better with Apple products. That's just the way they were designed. It's a huge advantage to have, whether it's an iPad or a Mac computer or an iPhone. Bluntly, the majority of editing softwares do better with Apple products. iMovie is a free one with Mac that you can do some pretty basic things on. If you want to get really fancy, like if you really want to, not even really fancy, but like I'd say the best editing software is Adobe Premiere. That's what I use. It's what I've used for 6 or 7 years now. It's only it's $20 a month to subscribe to it, through Adobe, which is pretty low barred as compared to what it could be or what it used to be. I mean, some of these editing softwares used to cost $300 or $400 up front. Now it's kind of a monthly cloud subscription. Premiere is a professional editing software, so there is a bit of a learning curve. But once you get the hang of it, it becomes really, really easy and really simple. So it's an uphill battle, then kind of simple. If you really want to, I've had some agents teach themselves Premiere to edit their own videos. It's a time, again, I get this a lot. Editing video or shooting video or coming up with content for video takes a lot of time. And I'm not trying to tell you it doesn't. It does, but that's how you get to be successful on these platforms, is by putting in that time in those places. I'm not trying to tell you that print isn't valuable or this is not valuable anymore. But again, and I'm in my 20s, but if I were in real estate, this is where the bulk of my work as far as marketing would go. Obviously, working with clients, building my business, doing deals, that's what I'm here to do. But anything marketing related would probably involve some sort of editing video, would be involving Facebook ads, something like that. Now, as far as apps go, there are two apps that, like I said, you can search editing and find dozens. There are sort of two that we use a lot that we recommend. One of them is called Video Shop. So this is what it looks like. Oh, let me get it there. This is sort of the app, if you search Video Shop, this is what it looks like on your phone. I've had a lot of agents. This is what Mike Dorvan, and he's one of the marketing directors up in Traverse City. That's what he always recommends during his road shows, and we've had a lot of people get a lot of use out of it and really, really enjoy it. And find it very easy to use. My big qualm when it comes to editing on a phone is that, like, when you're splicing and dicing clips, you're doing it with your fingers on your timeline, and it can kind of get frustrating and difficult to do it frame by frame as compared to a computer. But Video Shop does a pretty good job of it. Another one that I have on my phone, is called InShot. So it's the lower right-hand corner right here, InShot. Again, does basically the same stuff as Video Shop. They're both free. Does the pretty basic things, but they do it pretty well. I mean, like, it's easy to use. It's easy to kind of upload and figure out. One thing I will say is that Video Shop is free for, like, the basic software, but it's also like $3.99 a month for the premium stuff. And again, it does a pretty good job of using those things. What's the name of the app again? Video Shop. So Video SHOP is the main one that I would recommend. InShot, INSHOT, is another one worth looking into. Honestly, though, when it comes to video, or when it comes to editing, I always tell people, like, try a couple things when it comes to apps. Find what you feel most comfortable with and go with that. There's another editing software out there called Final Cut. It's just another professional editing software that people like to use. If someone came to me and said, hey, I find Final Cut better, I like it more, it's a great, use Final Cut. There's nothing wrong with Final Cut versus Adobe Premiere. I just like Premiere because I think it's easier than Final Cut, and it communicates with other Adobe products better. So again, that's just personal opinion at that point. You're welcome. So yeah, I would recommend Video Shop with a P and InShot with a T. But again, you just search editing, you'll find a bunch of options out there. One thing though, and this shouldn't come as a surprise, is like, the more in depth you go, like, meaning the higher skilled you get with editing, the more expensive those platforms become, right? So, like, iMovie is free, but you can only do so much. Video Shop is free, but you can do more with the app. Premiere costs $20 a month, but it's literally what they edit most, digital shows on. They edit feature Hollywood films on Premiere. And so if you think about it that way, $20 a month for things that they edit, the example they used back in the day was True Grit, the remake of True Grit from about 8 years ago. That was edited on Adobe Premiere. That's one example of, like, dozens and dozens of videos. But again, you can edit for $20 a month on the same software that Hollywood edits on. But it takes, it's more work than iMovie is. So those are kind of my recommendations. But if you're very serious about video editing and it's something you're going to get into a lot, I would look at Adobe Premiere. If you're going to do videos every once in a while and you need help getting into it, you can totally ask me for help to edit a video, and I will have no problem doing that. But if you're doing videos 2 or 3 a week and you want to be consistent with that, it's probably going to be better for you to learn how to edit, because then you can do things the way you want them to be done. Not to say that you can't come to me for help, but I'm just saying, it's if you want something done right, do it yourself, I guess. There's an example of the video, did that last time. So that's it. That's all I got for you guys on video today. It was a little bit more about stats and content, and of course, how-tos and things like that. If you ever really get into serious things and, hey, what kind of gear should I buy for my iPhone? If I'm going to buy a better camera, what should I buy? Always feel free to reach out. Feel free to reach out about anything, as always. As far as I know, this is sort of concluding our 4-week St. Croix webinar training stuff, which does not mean that I'm not available. Again, literally anything you need, feel free to reach out. But I hope that these 4 weeks have been valuable. They all covered something different. I think we really covered a lot in them. But always reach out. I know I've said that about 18 times already, but that's what we're here to do. That's what I'm here to help you guys with whatever you need help with. Can you particularly a list of iPhone accessories you would suggest for iPhone videos? That is a good idea. I will write that down. iPhone vid list, and I will kind of come up with that. It's actually a really handy idea. Thank you for that suggestion, whichever Corinne that was that put that in. So thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate that. As always, if you have questions, let me know. But have a great rest of your week, and I hope to hear from you guys soon. Bye. Whoa, I hit the wrong button. Let me try that again. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.